Welcome to CIO Leadership Live New Zealand. I'm Kathy O'Sullivan, Editorial Director in ANZ for Foundry. And today's episode, I'm delighted to be joined by Kirti Desai, who is GM for Digital Data and Technology at ProCare. Kia ora, Kirti. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being with us today.
Hi, Kathy. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you. And listen, love to hear about your career to date. How did you get your start in IT and what have been some of your career milestones?
So I guess I've always had a bit of a passion for using technology and how it can speed up processes and empower people to do things differently or faster. My journey into technology was actually through product development and management in financial services in the UK, where I worked for over 15 years. And I built the bulk of my experience and transferable skills really from doing those roles. So financial services were being disrupted by fintech and digital banking was taking off when I graduated. And there was a real move towards using technology to improve and empower customer experience, reduce costs and manual work, as well as being able to get data, better data and better reporting out of systems. Back then, I worked for Alliance Leicester, which is now Santander, doing product management for mortgages, investments, insurances, and then went on to kind of direct marketing and looking after all of their advertising for digital channels. So that was kind of a real first taste for me of digital and technology, and as well as an organisation that was going through quite a lot of transformation at that time. So that was a real move towards like digital banking back then, which is a completely different world today, but that was kind of those first steps in. I then went to work for Egg. I'm not sure if you know what Egg is, but Egg was the UK's first internet bank. And I worked for them for a couple of years just before moving out to New Zealand. And my role there was really looking at new platforms, looking at new technologies. So at the time I was looking at contactless payments. And payments that we would have in the future and what would the future look like. So I then moved over to New Zealand and have worked across many different sectors. So I've worked in banking, payments, real estate, and now in healthcare. So focusing on digital transformation of businesses by focusing on customers' needs and pain points. So not necessarily focusing on the technology, if that makes sense, but more kind of looking outwards. So looking at actually that customer experience.
So now you're the GM of Digital Data and Technology at ProCare. So can you give us an overview of the organisation, its purpose, and what you and the team look after there?
Oh, absolutely. So ProCare is New Zealand's largest primary health organisation and represents a network of general practices who provide care to more than 830,000 people across Auckland and Northland. Our purpose is all about uplifting the health and well-being of the people of New Zealand. So we have the largest Pacific and South Asian populations enrolled in general practice and the largest Maori population in Auckland. So ProCare delivers a number of health and well-being services. Some of these include clinical support services for our 174 member practices. Our Fresh Minds business provides mental health and well-being services. Care HQ offers virtual and telehealth services, and Registered Quit supports people wanting to stop smoking. So my team is made up of a mix of lots of different skill sets, from data engineers, analysts, project managers, BAs, testers, developers, and third parties who support us. So the team's responsibility is kind of responsible for a number of different areas, but our kind of key is to really support the services that we offer across our business. We manage the business to drive kind of population health outcomes, and we do that through providing better data, reporting and insights, not just internally and to members, but also to Te Whatuora and external organisations that might require the aggregated data to be able to see trends. We manage all of the systems, the infrastructure, digital channels, cybersecurity, strategic project delivery and prioritisation across the business. So it's quite a broad kind of skill set across the team.
So quite a diverse range of things that you and the team look after there. So how do you ensure then, Kirti, that the IT initiatives that you are implementing, that they align with those overall strategic goals and the mission of ProCare?
Well, so the digital strategy is lined up quite directly to our company strategy. And I do that pretty much at the start of the year. So, when we're going into planning at the end of the financial year, we kind of really make sure that we're future focused. So what is it that we're going to be working on in the coming 2 to 3 years? What does that look like from an overall company perspective? And then where is the technology? So when I was saying to you, it's an enabler to me, absolutely. It is about, okay, if that's where the business and our customers are moving to, so if that's what the needs of our, not just our patients, but our members as well, if that's where the direction is, then actually how do we utilize the technology that we have today and what will we need in the future to enable that? And that really drives a lot of the digital strategy for me in terms of where we take it. I work across our ELT to kind of make sure that we capture a lot of those business requirements, but also the needs of understanding our customer at the end, so that we can make sure that the strategy is aligned to not just everybody's wish list is, but actually our strategic goals, as well as our digital strategy that is kind of an enabler to embed that, and then making sure that everybody understands it. So communication at different staff events, making sure that my team fully understands how they fit into that picture and how that lines back up, and then making sure that they can work across the business to embed it, so that everybody's kind of lined up to working in the same direction.
And what's your approach then with emerging technologies? That there's a lot of noise at the moment around things like AI, IoT, automation. What's your approach when it comes to innovation within your IT department?
So for our team, and actually across the business, I have been probably kind of decentralizing a little bit of the innovation, because I don't think it should just come from our team. I strongly at the moment can see that there's a lot of people that want to use like generative AI, ChatGPT. People want to use AI in different ways. And I think it's important to kind of have that a little bit decentralized. So we encourage the team to learn and test new technologies or ideas. So I encourage my team, but also I know that other parts of the business are also wanting to test new things. So we've put a number of governance frameworks in place where, that allows people to understand what they can and cannot do. We do a bit of a security review with them. We work alongside them. So alongside my team, we have a process where anybody in the organisation can come with an idea. It's reviewed by peers from across the organisation to ensure that it aligns to solving patient or business problems, aligns to our strategy, making sure that nobody else is already working on it, or has already kind of developed something in that space. We then encourage a bit of a proof of concept approach, so that test and learn. Let's see if it works. Let's see what we can do to refine it. What do we need to do to maybe make it better? This also means that we kind of can test it in a much smaller environment rather than, blanketly kind of launching something big out there. It means that people learn from it. It also means that we can get that collaboration across the teams. And also we can make sure that we've understood the problems we were trying to solve too. So kind of that test and learn approach.
That's wonderful and great that you have that collaborative approach and that you are looking to include the rest of the organization in innovation as well. But look, there's that need for cutting edge technology and keeping up with the emerging technologies, but then also you've got your legacy system. So how do you balance that need with, the future focus and what's coming down the line and the importance of that maintaining those existing IT infrastructure and systems?
Absolutely. Do you know that is actually one of the biggest challenges I think that most organisations are facing? And I think in New Zealand and probably globally, people have been going through digital transformation for a number of years. In healthcare in particular, I would say it's a little bit behind. So financial services has been going through this for a very long time, and they've been disrupted multiple times. I guess in healthcare, it's really only really started to be disrupted in potentially the last five years. COVID was a real big catalyst of people starting to think about, oh my God, I've got, loads of legacy systems and we need to be able to run and we need to be able to do things. There's a lot of change coming, not just internal, but also from, government reforms. So for us, the way that I've really approached it for ProCare has been around looking at our digital transformation strategy and dividing it into 3 key areas. So foundational being the first one. This is really looking at things that, this can be some of your legacy systems or things that you must have in your organization. So for us, that's like our modern data platform or our CRM. These are things that you absolutely need. And I kind of do think of it a little bit like building a house. You wouldn't start digging up stuff or building an extension on a house if you didn't have the foundations safe. So that concrete laid and making sure that, you're going to build on something that's going to last a long time. And that's the same in technology for me. It's exactly the same kind of concept. So making sure that we've got those foundational things that we absolutely need to make sure that everything that we build on top of it will be there and it will last and it will be future focused. The next one for me is enable. So this is around what do we need to enable the business to make sure that we can provide the business with services or empower them to be able to utilize it. So in this space, I would say for us at ProCare, it's things like our websites, our members portal, the things that our customers and our businesses our business areas are using. And this really enables them to do the things that they want to do and do their work. So to do their day-to-day or to kind of be able to manage their way that they work. Growth. So that's the last one for me. So this is kind of the last pillar around, all right, so what do we need to grow our business? What do we need to make sure that, we're kind of always focused on our next new thing as well. So new solutions, product ideas to grow our business. So those kind of the 3 areas is how I really approach our strategy in terms of making sure that we don't forget about the things that we actually need to replace, or like our legacy systems that might be coming out of warranty, making sure that we're still got a bit of a focus around the things that are going to enable the business to move forward and for our customers and our business to be able to do their day-to-day. And then also growth. So what is the things that might be coming up, the new solutions, the new product ideas, to make sure that we're also focused on where we want to go.
Now, cybersecurity is a hot topic in the industry, and for CIOs more than anyone, I know it's one of the top priorities for most CIOs in this region. So what role do you think cybersecurity plays in healthcare IT? And for you at ProCare, how do you ensure, the security around and privacy of patient data? It's certainly been an area that there's been a lot of news stories about in recent times. So how do you ensure that the safety of your data?
Oh, absolutely. I think in healthcare at the moment, and it has been a growing trend for sure, cybersecurity is absolutely crucial in healthcare, as it is in financial services in most sectors now. I don't actually think there's a sector that can get away with not being aware or having cybersecurity, some kind of processes or governance or something in place right now. So what we've done is we've got a data governance structures, very clear governance processes in place. We've got policies. We've partnered with a cybersecurity company to support us in managing security across all our systems. We also review those processes and policies. And then we also get somebody, an external company, to independently review this. So review what we're doing, review how we're using the systems, making sure that our data is safe and it's secure. And having that as independent assessment ensures that we can stay up to date. Is there anything else that we should be doing? Making sure that we're monitoring it and reviewing it on a regular basis makes a big difference. As part of our kind of cybersecurity, we manage things on a regular basis, but our security partner also provides us with regular reporting on a monthly basis. We have a sit-down catch-up. We do regular workshops where we'll look at what else is happening in the cybersecurity world, what is happening outside of ProCare that could impact us, and what else should we be aware of. So it's trying to make sure that you stay up to date with all the new stuff. There's a lot happening in cybersecurity at the moment, especially with AI. I think that's become a bit of a game changer. And as much as it's going to do lots of positive things, it's also going to enable, unfortunately, enable a lot of phishing attacks and other things that will affect all organizations' cybersecurity controls.
Yeah, it's an absolute minefield. Yeah, it'll be very interesting over the next few years to see how that plays out. So, look, cybersecurity is a challenge. You spoke earlier about legacy systems being a challenge. Are there any other challenges that you can think of, particularly in the healthcare sector, that IT leaders face, and how do you address them?
Right now, for IT, there is a lot, especially in the healthcare space. There's a lot of change in the sector at the moment with government changes and reforms coming in. We're all dealing with legacy systems across healthcare and also trying to embrace the new technology that's coming out. So kind of trying to find that balance between the two. Funding, I think, funding and the cost increases across technology have definitely impacted all organisations that I've been talking to. A lot of my colleagues across different healthcare organisations are saying exactly the same thing. All our costs went up at a time where we've got so many changes and systems and projects on the go. So that's a real hard act to juggle, to be fair. It's also a really exciting time, though, as we get an opportunity to think about how we can do things differently. Hopefully, instead of just kind of going through the stages of transformation, we might actually be able to leap into the future a little bit. There's a lot of things happening overseas that we could take advantage of or learn from others' experiences that, could help us here in the healthcare sector in New Zealand do things a little bit differently. My approach at the moment has definitely been around having a really clear 2-year strategy and allowing room for that to kind of pivot and change as needed. So it's an evolving strategy. I don't really believe in having a strategy that stays stale. It's got to be reviewed. You've got to use it. It's got to be adaptable and evolve if the organisation changes direction or if something external happens that means that you have to do something a little bit differently, or there's brand new technology that you think actually that's a better solution and would provide us better future proofing, then absolutely your strategy should be something that is evolved, it's reviewed, it's used across the organisation. So definitely making sure that the strategy has got room to do that, and so it's not a lockdown approach because things are changing very, very fast in the sector.
So you're adapting your strategy, you're dealing with such a diverse range of stakeholders in the wider business. How do you then bridge that gap between your technical IT language and the understanding of those non-technical stakeholders? What kind of communication strategies do you use?
Well, I actually think my biggest strength comes from the fact that I've come from such a broad business background. So having worked in sales, marketing, product management, digital, I think that really makes quite a big difference because I can ask questions, I can relay back my understanding to the business. I actually usually have come from some of their roles and some of the needs that they're talking about. So I come with that probably slightly different lens from a customer or business problem lens. So I think I can rely back on some of those things. If I'm unsure, I definitely use questioning as a bit of a technique to make sure that I've understood things. Secondly, relaying it back. So if I've misunderstood something, at least then somebody will correct me. And I'm not overly technical. I understand systems, architecture and technology. I can communicate with technical people, but I guess I've learned over time to be that bridge between the business's needs and then being able to kind of work with my team and bring things back and forth to make sure that things line up quite, like, rather than it just being from a technology perspective, that things actually do line up.
And then I'm sure you work with a number of partners, of technology partners. What do you look for when you're going out to market, when you're choosing a technology partner? What looks good from your perspective?
So you're right, actually. We work with a number of different third parties from, managing our IT down to kind of the cybersecurity stuff. So big things for me really are around, I guess, honesty and trust. So that's really important for me. So working with a partner that actually stays true to their strengths. So it's important to me that they tell me if they can't do something, or that's not their specialism, or the area that they're focused on, and then providing me either with other contacts if they think that there's another company that would be better at that. Because the worst thing that can happen is that you sign up with a partner and they can't actually deliver what you originally sat down and discussed, or they can only deliver part of it. And then that really just erodes a lot of that credibility for me over time, because it's usually built on honesty, trust, information that you get from them, making sure that they understand your business, that they take the time to understand the challenges that you're facing, the organization is going through, seeing how they can actually help you versus trying to sell you a whole heap of stuff that you may or may not need because they don't really understand your business model. For me, really doesn't really kind of say to me, this is a partner that I want to partner with, because they haven't taken the time to understand our organization, all the challenges and the priorities that we have, but they're just trying to sell me a whole load of technology that I don't even need in some instances. So for me, it's like, take the time to build the relationship, take the time to understand us, so that we can actually create more of a partnership approach to kind of going on that journey, rather than I'm just buying something from a third party supplier.
Yeah, it comes through so much in the interviews I do with CIOs about sharing that pain, understanding the organization that they're approaching and the values and what's actually important, rather than just the cold, hard sales pitch on, we have this stuff, let us sell it to you. Look, Kurti, you spoke earlier about how you collaborate with the wider business in terms of that innovation piece. But when it comes to your own IT team, I mean, what kind of strategies do you have for that, fostering that collaboration and making them as productive as possible?
I'm probably biased, but I've got a really great team, and I really encourage the team to share any ideas that they have, working with the business, and even internally, if you've got an idea, let's share it, let's talk about it, raise questions or concerns. So if you think that we're going about something in the wrong way, then absolutely feel that you can share all of those insights. So one of the things when I hire people and when they join our team, and I tell them consistently, is around, we've hired you for your skills and your experience, so please don't leave them at the door. I want a collaborative team that comes together, that wants to be there, but also brings their whole self through that door every single day, and brings their ideas, brings the ways of working that they might have learned from other organizations. And I think we use agile kind of methodologies as a way to collaborate, not just across the team, but also with the business, so that we're constantly not becoming this isolated IT team, but also having a team that works with the business, and brings things back and forth. So it's kind of that co-design. How do we do it together? And actually getting the technical team to also understand the business and vice versa. So that also opens that doorway of a two-way ongoing collaborative approach, of not just having a team that's kind of just looking inwards, but really looking outwards and bringing that back and forth, so that we can actually create quite a good collaborative culture, not just within the team, but also broader than across the business.
So then what do you think around, ways to attract more people from a variety of backgrounds into IT? Are there any practical things that you think can be done to ensure that we have, minds of all kinds in technology and different approaches?
I do. I think, I think employers need to look at some of the roles and think, what skills are transferable, rather than, I've seen a lot of JDs where it's just full of all this technical stuff that people want. But there's actually lots of people that work in lots of different sectors that could add value into technology, I think, especially into the IT teams, because I think in the future, more non-technical people will be in IT, as everyone's roles are already starting to change. And most of those roles now have an element of technology already in them. So if you're a user of technology, then you will already have ideas on what you think it would, what could be done better. How could it solve a different problem, or how could it benefit customers in a different way? Then this is where some of those people are now moving into product owner roles, because they don't necessarily have to be technical, traditional IT roles. These are kind of more people that bring that business understanding. They have a passion and understanding of technology, and also can then relay that back, and they're focused on the outcome. So then that allows the rest of the team to actually think about the solutions. So I think, there's a role for employers around not just looking for traditional, kind of, these are the 5 years experience of, being a JavaScript writer or whatever it is that you're looking for, but also looking at those other different softer skills, the transferable skills around whether it's project management or product development or whatever it is. Even in marketing, there's going to be loads of marketing automation type roles where people will be utilizing technology, because actually their roles are going to become so ingrained in the way that technology works that you won't be able to do, nobody's role will be without an element of technology, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And even more so as advances in AI, we're seeing that importance of the softer skills, the human skills as well in these roles. So what advice would you give to someone who was aspiring to be a CIO or a senior IT leader?
I'd say I wanted to be in technology and in digital. And I remember having a mentor. So, I would say to you, if it is an area you definitely want to go into, whether you're already in the technology path or whether you're working in a role that's outside of the digital or the technology team, absolutely, go and reach out to somebody and ask them if they would be willing to be a mentor to you. Ask them questions about how they got into it. What is it that they like about it, about that role, and what does that role need to have? I think when I look back, that's definitely what I did. And don't worry if you don't have all of the answers, as technology is changing and the role is evolving all the time anyway. So you don't necessarily need to have all of the answers and know everything. I don't even think you really need to be technical. I think you just need to have transferable skills, be keen to learn, ask questions, and then, once you get into those roles, then trust that your team will do a good job. You hire the right people, and usually people, I always hire for where my gaps are too, because that's actually what leadership looks like. It's not having loads of people that are exactly the same as you. It's actually saying, what do we need? What is the capability we need? And therefore hiring for those capability skills. And if you're first time trying to get into being a CIO, then looking at some of those job descriptions. I remember looking at some of them way back and thinking, I'm not sure I've got some of these skills. So thinking about the roles that you then take in between to help you develop some of the skills, or getting some of that exposure and experience, so that when you get to that level, you will actually feel like, I actually do know how to do this. And there's still a gap and there'll still be things that you'll need to learn, but at least you'll be going at it from an avenue of, I do have an idea about what this role entails, because that also helps you to understand whether you're going to want to do it. Because I think, the worst thing you can do is think that that's a role you really want. You get there and you don't really enjoy it. So being really clear about, your drivers for what you want to get out of that role. But also, I think for me, I was really passionate about making a difference. And that's a really big driver for me moving into healthcare as well. Was, I knew that I loved doing all the digital transformation stuff, and I knew that I really wanted to make a difference in the sector that I felt I could make a really empowering difference to was healthcare. And so I think COVID really kind of highlighted that for a lot of people in terms of making them think about where they want to be. And definitely for me, COVID highlighted to me that I really wanted to move into healthcare. I wanted to make a difference, and I wanted to use my skills and experience to drive that. So I think if I was any advice I would give an aspiring CIO now is be true to where you want to be, and your values and the things that are important to you, because it's a tough role. And you do need to dig deep sometimes to make sure that you are clear about why you're doing it. because you're going to need some of that passion to get you through when it is challenging.
Yeah, very well said. And finally then, Kirti, what's important to you in the months ahead? Any exciting initiatives in the pipeline?
Yeah, we have a number of really exciting projects on the go at the moment, which we'll all be completing, and they align up to our strategy. So we're in the middle of kind of planning for next year. So I'm excited about that. But this year we're keen now. We're really close to completing our modern data platform, which will become our data engine, and enabling the self-service analytics platform to empower both our internal business users as well as our members. So I think that, that's a really exciting kind of conclusion to a big project we've worked on. We're also working with our partners on a new platform at the moment for our mental health business, which really future-proofs, I guess, ProCare in the mental health space as we move forward. It's going to be a huge enabler for our clinicians, and also for the clients that use our services. So I think, it's a really exciting time at the moment. I think there's a lot of changes happening, not just at ProCare, but I think in healthcare in general. And I think, the future, it's as much as it's going to be a bit of a rocky road, it will also be a really exciting time right now, because there'll be a lot of new initiatives, new ways of doing things. And I think it's quite an exciting journey that we're on.
Well, I look forward to catching up with you again when some of these projects come to fruition. Kirti Desai, GM for Digital, Data and Technology at ProCare, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.